Hello, English 9. Long time no see. So I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of background information on Lord of the Flies before you start reading. So here we go. So you guys did a little bit of background information reading, so you know it was written by William Golding, and obviously was written back in 1954, which was just after World War II. So, because William Golding was in the British Navy during World War II, he had a lot of experiences that he saw and experienced that were not positive and profoundly affected him. So, he wrote this book in results. There he is, so cute. Um, and this quote, which you guys read already, but I think really stands out and it's really important for us to know going into this reading is, it was simply what seemed sensible for me to write after the war when everyone was thanking God they weren't Nazis. I had seen enough to realize that every single one of us could be Nazis. And I think that relates back to what we just read, The Most Dangerous Game, where we saw Rainsford kind of become this murderer that he was not at the beginning of the story. So you guys will see a change in some of the characters as we start to read Lord of the Flies too. But first, a couple of notes. All right, so who's talking? So William Golding does this weird thing where he doesn't always use speaker tags. So for example, normally when we read a story, it would say like, I'd like some pie, said Miss Crammond, right? So you know it's me because it says said Miss Crammond, right? Or I think you're being ridiculous, responded Karen. You know it's Karen responding, obviously, because she has the speaker tag. He doesn't do that all the time. No, more of what he does is he indicates who's talking by giving you description or action before the dialogue. So, for example, it says, Piggy rose dripping from the water. And then, quote, how does he know we're here? So you know it's Piggy talking because he was just referencing what Piggy's actions were, but he doesn't actually say, Piggy says, how does he know we're here? Another example is, because, thought Ralph, because, the roar from the reef became very distant. Quote, they'd tell him at the airport. So again, it doesn't say Ralph said this, but you can tell it's him because he is the person that's referenced directly before the quote. All right, so that's just a heads up because it can get a little confusing when there's a lot of dialogue and not a lot of speaker tags. All right, let's get to the setting. Check out this island. What do you think? It's gorgeous. You want to go there, right? Right? I mean, it looks nice, huh? Wrong. It's not, okay? It's an abandoned island. It's deserted. It's like the jungle and the beach, so it's not friendly, all right? So the boys land there. Their plane crashes. They land there. That's the start of the book. And it takes place at the beginning of this fictional world war. So this war is going on. The boys are on a plane to be relocated, and they're coming from a British boarding school. So they're on the plane. The plane crashes on the island, and it's full of these boys, ages 6 to 13. They're on the island. So they land there, the plane crashes, all the adults are dead. They have nothing with them. There's no internet, there's no cell phones, no computers, no one's taking Instagram selfies on the island. And so they're stuck there, right? And so they kind of have to start to fend for themselves, which is what the whole book is about. And something that I think is really important for you guys to remember too is that these boys are young. So the oldest boy is 13. And so the rest of them are kind of like 12 and then going all the way down to, there's like a group of little, they call them little uns, and they're like just 5 and 6 years old. So they're younger than you guys, and they're dealing with this huge new task of trying to fend for themselves. So they're coming from a boys' boarding school, like I mentioned. They are coming from a British boarding school. So they're rather proper, except for Piggy. So the British dialect is used. Piggy, who's one of the main characters who you'll meet, he has a slightly different dialect. You can kind of tell from the way he talks that he's from a lower class in Britain. So that's something that to notice. The other thing is, because they do use the British dialect, there's some phrases that are just strange. So for instance, in one of them, Piggy says, you can't half swim, which means you can swim really well. Another thing they say a lot is like wacko, wizard, smashing, which just means awesome. But again, they sound strange to us. You guys might not be familiar with that, so just a heads up there. So anyway, we'll check back in after you read chapter 1 and answer your questions. You're going to get to meet all the characters and find out more about the island. I will say chapter 1 is a lot of description about the island. A lot of it is just describing the island. So I do have for you guys on Google Classroom a map of the island, and I've labeled the different parts because it is a lot of him just describing, this is where the forest starts, this is where the beach starts. It's not that interesting. So this is a map of the island. I have labeled it for you. And once again, this is on Google Classroom, so you can see it and you can kind of figure out where they are and where they move to throughout the book. So you need to reference this throughout the book, but it is there for you just to see it. So that's pretty much it. Enjoy meeting the rest of the gang, all the characters. Happy reading. We'll check in soon. See you later. Did it stop?